Hey guys, Snoop Blacks here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own Super Smash Bros. Stages. Before I start this tutorial, I just want to say a couple things. For this tutorial, you should have some basic knowledge of a 3D modeling software. I'm using Blender in this tutorial, but any sort of software will work. And the second thing I want to go over is that anytime during this tutorial, if you're stuck or don't understand something, feel free to just post a comment. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, let's just jump right into this. So first thing you need to do is download the GoldenEye Setup Editor. Just right here. The download link, it's actually kind of hard to find, but if you scroll down, it is just right over right here. It's at the bottom here. Let's click on that and download the GoldenEye Setup Editor. The next thing you want to download is the Super Smash Bros. Level Editing Guide. Download that too. You don't really need this, but I highly recommend getting it. Because if you don't understand something that I'm saying, you can look at this. Plus it has some lines of code you can use. Alright, so once you have your GoldenEye Setup Editor installed, I guess I'll just cancel these, I already have that. You're going to want to go to your computer. Mine's under my C drive, yours might be different, but go into GoldenEye Edit. And just call it Hyrule. So what you're going to want to do is you want to put just a Super Smash Bros. ROM into the Hyrule folder. So once the setup editor is done, you're going to want to launch it. The way I do it is just go to Windows, Beta, Beta Editor. As you can see, it shows that the editor is out of date, so you should always update the editor. The most recent version you have is obviously going to be the best version, and it might have more features or might fix bugs, so always make sure to update the beta editor. Alright, once the editor is done, you just got to click Copy Beta to Stable Release. And now when you launch it, that shouldn't pop up the next time. Beta Editor. So the first time you launched up, it probably won't say Super Smash Bros. So what you do is just go to Switch Editor Game. Just click on Super Smash Bros. Just to change it to that. Now there's lots of tools that you can use on this, but for now we'll only be using the visual editor and the image tools. So what you're going to want to do is click File, Open Setup Uncompressed, and now just go and open that ROM that you're using. It'll be under the Hyrule folder. Make sure Hyrule Castle is selected. You're going to see a blank wall. So what you're going to want to do is go to Tools, Preferences. Obviously you don't have to use the exact same preferences that I have, but I'd recommend to do so. Mouse move sensitivity, this is very important that it's like up all the way. Just makes it a lot easier to move around objects. So all this stuff. Let's try to copy my settings, I'd say. Don't invert up and down, that's really important. So the way I like moving around in the editor, there are many ways, but I like pressing Tab, and you see how it says Fly Mode On, so then you can just use your cursor and fly, and you use like WASD to move, kind of like in a first-person shooter or a computer game. Right, now let's just take a good look at the level. As you can see, there's some stuff missing on it. That's just because of this display rooms things down here. So if you click on that, display full level, display one room, display rooms, you're going to want to have display full level. Another thing, you should just turn on the clippings. Just take a look and see how this game handles clippings. So here's the clippings. I'll turn off the levels so you can just see just what the clippings look like. So. Right, so what you're going to want to do is when you're in edit object mode, you want to right click and go export preset to OBJ, and then in your Hyrule folder just type in objects. And then the next thing you want to do is clipping. Right click, export clippings to OBJ. and then just go clippings. When you do this, change it to FBX to OBJ. Right, and save your clippings. And then next thing you're want to go, right click on edit room positions, and then you're going to want to go export full level to OBJ. And then we'll just name this high roll level. So the reason why you're doing all this is so you have something to compare to when you're making your level. So when you're making your level, you can get it to the correct scale and the correct positioning by comparing it to Hyrule, and so you can get your clippings right by using Hyrule's clippings and edit it, and get the objects right too. It just makes the process a lot easier. So the next thing you got to do is make your model. In my opinion, there's 3 main ways to do this. One, if you're really good at modeling, you can make your own model from scratch. A couple of things you really have to remember. You have to have a really low polygon count. 2 is your texture size should be max 64 by 64, all in intervals of 32. So for instance, 32 by 32 is fine, 32 by 64 is fine, 64 by 64. If there's too many, it might not load. I'm not exactly sure how the game handles 64 by 64 textures. So BMP files. So a really good way to do this is go into the models resources. The model I'm going to make for this tutorial is this Majora's Mask. If you look at the model, like look at the files, I guess, it's pretty good. The bad thing is it's a PNG, so I'm going to have to convert all these files to BMPs, but it's not too much work to do. And I think it should be a low enough poly count for it to work the first time. If you have a model with really high poly count, Blender has this really good tool called Decimate, and what it does is, let's say a thing has 1,000 polygons. You can have like a 0.5 multiplier, make it only have 500 polygons, and just reduces the polygon count. Obviously, when you reduce the polygon count, you're going to lose a lot of quality. For instance, that's how I made Temple. I just really reduced it in the Decimate feature and got rid of a lot of the polygons in the first place. So if you want to make a level, Nintendo 64 is probably the best category to go to because they have lower poly models. A good place to start is Super Mario 64 has a lot of good models that you could use. And if you're looking for a more advanced level, the Super Smash Bros. Brawl levels are a great way to start. Because that's how I made my Temple level. Yeah, any of these levels you could make using this editor, just decimating them and reducing the pixels. So every single texture, if it, let's say they're all 128 by 128, you're going to have to go to every single texture, reduce it to like a 64 by 32, and change it to a BMP. On it would be a really cool level to do if you're looking for inspiration. And the third method is to go into an emulator, and you can actually export the entire thing that emulator is showing onto an OBJ file. I'll leave a link to how to do that in the description. So either make your own level, use this website here, or use a VRML plugin I'll leave in the description, so you could use any sort of level from the 64 game. So I like using Blender, so that's what I'm going to use for this tutorial, but any sort of modeling program would work if you prefer using that. Once you've made a stage that you like, or you found a stage that you like, make a new folder in the GoldenEye Setup Editor with the name of the stage that you're going to make. And that's what you're going to load into Blender. I'm going to go File, Import, Wavefont OBJ, and I'm going to go to Majora's Mask. I tried doing a different Majora's Mask level, that's why I called it 2. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Very low polygon count, so I feel like this is going to work really well. There isn't really too much I got to do for this, but the one thing I am going to do is just change the PNGs to BMPs, which is kind of a pain to do, but there's only 8 textures, so it shouldn't take too long. So I'm going to create a shortcut to Majora 2. Okay, there it is. I'm just gonna move this shortcut and put it on my desktop, just so it's really easy just to go straight there. Okay, so now that that's there, I'm gonna go Majora 2. I like using Pixelformer to make really quick edits. If I do something more advanced, I'll use GIMP, but Pixelformer is a really good place to edit bitmap files. I'm just gonna open. That's already good how it is. Export, and then let's go desktop, Majora shortcut, save, and it should be good. Yeah, now I have that. Alright, so that all looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to want to do is just change these textures to the BMP equivalents here. So to do that, I'm just going to go to the this right here. Source 878E. Right, the next thing you want to do is go into your folder and make a new folder in it. Let's just call this, I don't know, call this whatever you want. I'm going to call mine Majora BMP. Okay. So you're going to go into Blender, go File, Export, Wavefont OBJ, and you're going to want to put it right in that folder. One thing that you have to do is go down, and you see how it says Path Mode Auto? Change that to Copy. And then go Export OBJ. If you did it right, this should have all your BMP files in there linked up to that OBJ, which is perfect. This is actually going really smooth. The last time I tried to make a tutorial, I did an actual level from in Majora's Mask, and it took me probably 8 hours to do the tutorial, and it just wouldn't load in the game, and I was just kind of screwed, and it was just very frustrating. So I'm really glad this time around it's going really smooth, and I've had no problems yet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all these groups here. Oops. I just hit Control J. I'm just grouping all these here into one, and I'm going to name this room 1. If you have big models, you can separate them into multiple rooms. The reasons why you'd want to separate them into multiple rooms is just kind of when you do the lighting at the end, if you want to light some things and not others. But really, just doing one room is usually fine. But when you do rooms, you got to go room 1, room 02, room 03, and it uses hexadecimal. So once you get to 9, it go 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, 10. So it'd be like room 0A, room 0B. If you have that many rooms, just check the tutorial. I doubt you'll have over 10 rooms, but that's what you do if you do. Alright, so now this is looking really good. And we haven't really done much to it, we've only changed the textures, but you're going to want to import your Hyrule. Right here, Hyrule level. The thing about Hyrule is that it's so much bigger than everything else. So what you're going to want to do is press N, and you're going to want to just add a couple zeros to this, and it makes your clip different so you can see farther. And if you zoom out, as you can see, this model is really small compared to Hyrule, so we have to really make it a lot bigger. So I'm just going to go this, scale. I usually scale it by a factor of about 2,000. Okay, now let's see how that looks. It's not bad. The way it is now, I feel like it'd be a little bit too short for a level. So I'm just gonna, I'll probably scale it up to, I think 2,500 is probably the sweet spot that I'm looking for. So 2,500, 2,500, 2,500. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably about the right scale that we're gonna want. So the two reasons why you get Hyrule here is one, just to get the right scale, two, to get the kind of right positioning so you can use the same objects. I'm gonna put it probably about right here. 3, you want it on the right axis. What I mean by axis is like, so the characters will be standing on the right spots. I think I kind of want to be standing on the horns of the mask. So probably like this. Yeah, that should be good. So what I'm going to do now is delete Hyrule. Pretty much good to put in the game now. So I'm going to put this in Majora 2, Majora BMP. I'm just going to say Majora Smash. Next thing we got to do is, this is why it's really nice to have the tutorial. So we're going to open the tutorial, and we're going to go to the part where it talks about textures, because it gives you a really cool line of code you can use to speed up a process. So this line of code is what we need. Okay, you need to have a texture file that has all these BMPs written out, but an easy way to do that is using the command prompt with this line. So we're going to go cmd, we're going to go cd ... This removes one directory because we got to get to the C drive. cd ... Okay, so now we're in the C drive, which is good. We're going to copy address as text, and we're just going to go cd space this. And now we're in this directory. So now we'll just go copy, paste this right in, and that should have just made a text file in here. As you can see, you have textures, and if you click on this, all it is it just lists this out like this. When you have this many textures, you can do this yourself. It's not too bad, but if you have, let's say, 30 or 40 textures, that process is a lot faster. Alright, so now we're pretty much ready to do our level. Okay, convert, model file to, level, and add textures. And then I'm going to go to the Majora folder. Okay, so I picked the text file. Now change this to OBJ, and then click your file. And then it should load into the game pretty good, hopefully. So for the file name here, I just like throwing in just some random stuff so you don't ever click that again. I'm not really even sure why they even do that. So, cool. That middle part is kind of a problem, obviously. Is this part right there, it just doesn't seem necessary. This layer here, having the eyes stick out. Especially if you can't get proper transparency. So I'm just going to go to edit mode. I'm just going to select those faces on the eye. Now if you look at that, okay, so delete that face. It looks the same. I think that was really unnecessary to have that second one. It'd probably look good in game to just have the eyes have more depth. That should be good now. So I'm going to export OBJ Smash Majora Smash 2. Right, that looks good. So, I'm just going to import clippings from the Hyrule one, because that's the one we kind of compared it to. And I'm going to import the objects from there too. Alright. So, now, I want to test out this level, just make sure it doesn't crash before I start doing other stuff. But it does look really good. So I'm just going to go File, Save Setup Uncompressed, and just name the ROM. I'm just going to say Majora Test, September 12th. Okay. So now in our folder, you're going to have wait, where did I save that into? Did I save that into Hyrule? Yeah. I test all my hacks on an EverDrive just to make sure it plays on actual console. So I got a pretty good setup where I have it connected to my TV and to a capture card. Well, that looks so cool. Oh, that is great. Now what we have to do is make the clippings for the level. And to do that, we're going to go into Blender. And we're going to go File, Import, OEFON OBJ, Clippings. So that's the way Hyrule normally looks, I guess. And I guess as we can line Majora up just a little bit better to go with the clippings. No, it's really hard to tell, but okay, let's take this line, just move it up. Take Majora. That should be about good. So I'm just gonna go select room 1, go File, Export, Wayfont OBJ, Selection only, and just go Majora Smash 3. This Majora is just a little bit more lined up. So I'm just going to turn the clippings on, just kind of see what we have to work with here. So there's two ways you can do clippings. You can do clippings in Blender by using these and moving them around. And then you go into the visual editor and you go right click and import the clippings in. One thing is you should almost always convert all your clippings to 2 points. It just makes it a lot easier and it makes it so the game doesn't crash. But for this, I kind of like doing it in the editor myself. So I'm just going to delete these unnecessary clips. Okay, I'm going to turn this model on. One important thing, pressing Ctrl H lets you move the clips around, which is very important. To move left and right, you just click and go left and right. To move up and down, you grab the up and down tool and do it that way. So I'm going to move these here. I'll have these going like this. And then we'll have a left wall, which will be this. Move this over. I guess if you select two things, the one you click on will snap to the other one. So if I go right click, snap points together, I can just drag this. It tends to crash a lot when you're saving or when you're doing clipping. So every once in a while I just like go and save, set up uncompressed, and just save it just so if it does crash you're not going to be screwed. And you can just open your save. Change this to wireframe, it makes it a little bit easier to do the points. I'm going to take this, snap these points together. Guess I better explain this really quick. As you can see, there's different type. There's left wall, right wall, ceiling, and floor. Ceiling still isn't really figured out yet, so you can't really do ceilings. But walls work as really good ceilings though, so it works out okay. Alright, well that looks pretty good so far. I'm just going to do another save. I'm just going to go right click, import additional clippings, and then go to Hyrule once again. Just for simplicity here, I'm gonna make this bottom version of the mask. Well, I'll show you what I mean. And I'm being a little bit lazy here, but I just feel like no one's really gonna get into the collision under the map that well. And as long as it works, it like kind of works. Alright, that looks pretty good for collision. I'm going to delete these extra points here. Another thing I forgot to do, which is pretty important, is with your clippings. Okay, if you right click on any clippings in edit clip mode, get this menu where you can change it to floor, ceiling, right or left. Another important one is grab or drop through. What grab means is that point's grabbable, so you can like ledge grab and get up. What drop through means is that if you press down, you'll drop through. This is usually good for like platforms. So I'm just going to change this point to a grab point. That even work? Okay, I can't move these clippings because I gotta press Control H. I can move them. Okay, yeah, that is a grab point. I'm just gonna make both these grabs because that should definitely make it work. Okay, this point here, flag is grab. Move over. And as you can see, grab points are pink. Drop through points are blue. Go to edit object mode. Yeah, press U. Take all these boxes and just move them up. Just above the level. Okay, yeah, just like that. So I'm just going to click on individual boxes. This one says tornado spot. Probably a tornado like around here would be cool. Item spot. This is the one that spawns on the ground, so I'm just going to go put it here. These two I'm going to put over here. Alright, I think that should pretty much be good. Just going to go Tools. Check level for errors, no error sound, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go test again on my console. That looks so cool. Spawn points work good. Collision works good. Yeah, that actually works out pretty good. The one thing you're going to want to do now is go to Edit Portals, click on this Edit Level Information. This is pretty much your camera and your depth barriers. This fall whistle is, when you go down to a certain fall, it'll make like a sound. Music index, that's the song we're using, 9. And it looks pretty good. I think my barriers might be a little bit too big, but for such a small course, I think that's okay. What you're going to want to do is, once you have your ROM that you like, you're going to go to Image Tools. In your folder that you're using for your level, you want to do New Folder, Texture. choose the ROM with like your final level. So for me, September 125. Okay, so pretty much you could change any of these textures if you want, but we're only going to be changing the ones that have to do with the level. So we're going to go down and go through them all until we find the ones that we need. Okay, first texture is, since mine is the Legend of Zelda theme, I'm going to leave it like this. If I were doing a level that didn't fit the Zelda theme, you'd export this texture and change it too. I mean, I guess I could export this to a Majora's Mask thing, but I think just the Triforce is good. Because obviously that just means it's a Zelda level. Okay, first thing right here is this one. So we're going to save the bitmap into your texture folder that you just made. So Majora 2 texture save. Okay. And then you're going to want to save this bitmap to same folder. And then next is the background that it uses. Save bitmap. Okay, the reason why mine are all temple things is because I'm replacing temple, but for you, you're replacing Hyrule, so yours is going to be all the Hyrule things. So you'll either edit 3 or 4 things. First thing that you're going to want to edit is the text. So you're going to open with whatever you want to use. GIMP's probably the best, but pixel format will just be a little bit faster for me. I'm just going to go duplicate this layer, take this layer, and just go delete. Just going to fill it in black. Okay, text. I'm going to try to find some text that matches what this looks like. Okay, I like that one. It might be, if anyone can find the exact font that Smash uses, if you could leave a link in the description, that'd be greatly appreciated. But for now, I'm just gonna use this one because we'll export, and then I'm gonna export that in the same folder, and I'll just do it as Majora writing. Okay. And then the skybox. This skybox is huge. It's 300 by 263. So you can really get creative with it. Profile. Open as layer. That's really nice. Which part do I want in there? I don't really want to downsize this. Having the link would be cool, but it's kind of a skybox, so I kind of think maybe match up with this corner. Let's not have link in there. This corner would be bad. Let's go bottom. I like that, yeah. I like that a lot. Piece of file. I think that's gonna look like a really cool background when I get this in. So I'm just gonna go background. The hard one to do is the stage selection screen icon, purely just because it's so small. So for this, what my idea is, I'm going to go zoom in on this, go File, Open as Layer, Open this as a layer, even though it's going to just be huge compared to it, but whatever. We'll just downscale, wait. We'll just go and downscale this all the way down. A little bit bigger. Yeah, that'll be good. And then I'm just gonna go file. I have a Majora's Mask icon on my Alright, so I'll export that as stage selection screen. Alright. Another really important thing about this is GIMP is a great free program to use for editing images. That's what I use for my thumbnails, that's what I use for making custom textures. But the bad thing about GIMP is that it does not export BMPs properly for using in Nintendo 64 games. So I have another program called Pixelformer. So what I'll do is I'll edit the image in GIMP. Then once I'm done, open it in Pixelformer and just export it again and replace it. Just because that BMP's format actually works. If you try to upload an image that was exported with GIMP's BMP exporter, it will kind of destroy your ROM. And even if you go and upload an image over that, that ROM will permanently be bad. This one I made in Pixelformer, so this one's fine. But I'm going to go here, open up, and just export it. And just replace the one I made in GIMP. And in Pixelformer, always pick the 32 BPP option. Sometimes you won't have that option, it'll be 24, but just pick the 24 then. Like both of them work, 24 or 32. Alright, so now that one's replaced. Now we'll replace this one. So now we're ready to put those images in the game. So we're in Image Editor. Choose ROM. Pick the ROM that you need. So we just need to replace 3 images, not 4, since we already have the triangle. If anybody finds what exact font Smash uses, if you could put that as a comment in the description, I'll update my description with that. Because having a different font kind of looks funny. I know some people who are more nitpicky than me would really want to have the same font, so... Okay, so now... Oh, that font that I use doesn't look too bad. Okay, sometimes when you replace a texture, your other texture will go back to how it was. So I want to make sure that this stays this way. Okay, it looks like it's good. Right, now third is the background. Okay, there we go. This, this. And yeah, that looks good. Just gonna make sure that the other two are changed. So write ROM with new changes. I'm gonna name this September 127. Just keep going up so I know which one's the recent. So my usual method, I kind of changed it up there just because I was trying to make it faster for you guys. So you change an image, right when you change it, write ROM with new changes. Change another image, write ROM with new changes. And just every time you change an image, just keep writing new ROMs. So that way it saves it. And usually this level would be done. This would be all you have to do, but I want to do custom music. So if you do custom music, by default it's going to have the Hyrule theme since you're on Hyrule level. So to change the music, what you do is you go to Edit Portals and Background, Edit. You have to right click on the model, you can't just right click anywhere. So edit level information, and at the bottom it shows the music that plays. There's a really good list on the cutting room floor, just this link up here, which shows you every single song. I'll try to either leave this list in the description or I'll link to this page. So right now I have it on Hyrule Castle, but you can import custom music into the game too, which is pretty cool. So what I usually recommend that if one of these songs fits your level, use one of these. Because making a custom level can be a really big pain, and they usually don't sound the greatest. So if any of these work with your level, try it. If you have a generic level, you could always do like the Metal Cavern, the Metal Mario stage music, or any of these. But another thing about doing custom music, you should change your song to song number 5. The reason you want to do this, if you're doing custom music, is because Congo Jungle is the largest file song in the game. What I mean by that is Congo Jungle is the biggest song for file size. So if you go to replace it, it gives you a little bit more room for longer songs or songs with more instruments. So since we're going to replace this song, I'm going to go here and change the music index to number 5. Alright. So now that I got the Congo Jungle theme and the grab points, I think this should be good. So I'm going to go File, Save Setup Uncompressed. Alright, now for the last step, getting custom music. So to get custom music into the game, what you gotta do is you go into the editor, Tools, and you're going to want to go Game Configuration. Alright, now open up the ROM that you're going to edit. For me, it'll be this one here. So what this has is a bunch of sounds. So we're editing song 5 because it's Congo Jungle. It's the biggest song. So we're going to use this replace mid with MIDI. So we're going to get a MIDI file of the Clocktown theme from Majora's Mask. So there's 2 ways to get MIDIs. One, if you just do a Google search, you can find a MIDI of most songs. There's a couple good MIDI websites I'll link. But there's a program to export MIDI files directly from Nintendo 64 games. And if you're doing a Nintendo 64 game song, I recommend getting it that way. The reason why I say do it that way instead of getting a song online is the song online might not come directly from the ROM, so it might be a lot bigger. And other Nintendo 64 game MIDIs just go into it a lot better than a MIDI someone else made on the internet, or maybe the guy did rip it from the ROM, but he changed up the instruments or something. So going into the ROM and getting the MIDI is the way to go, in my opinion, if you're doing other songs that were on the Nintendo 64. So to get a MIDI from another game, you gotta go to GoldenEye Vault, and you're going to want the Nintendo 64 Sound Tool, version 1.4. The MIDI tool pretty much does exactly what this is right here, so you don't really need the MIDI tool, you just need the Sound Tool. So go ahead and download that. Yeah, so once you download it, you're going to want to just open this Nintendo 64 Sound Bank tool, and then you're going to want to get the ROM for the game you're going to rip. So I'm just going to pop up a Majora's Mask ROM here. Make a new music folder. Alright, let's put the ROM there. So you're going to go select the game that you have. For us, it's obviously going to be Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This has pretty much every single Nintendo 64 game. It's missing a couple, but it's pretty much every one. Okay, load ROM. Alright, so when you press preview, it should play the song. Oh wow, this one actually has it all written out. Usually it's not. So we're going to want to do... Okay, that's Sound Bank 0. That's Ocarina of Sound. Sound Bank 2. Sound Bank 3. Okay, this is the one that should have Clocktown. Let's check it out. Probably day 1 is what you want. Or what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm going to export the MIDI. Just put it right into the music. I'll just press stop. So bank 19, I'll have to remember that in case day 1 doesn't work out. Alright, so now I'm just going to go replace mid with MIDI. And let's just see if it works. Sounds weird, but that's because it's using different instruments. Kind of sounds cool, but so that sounds cool. But what I'm gonna do is there's a program called Anvil Studios. It's free. I'll put a link in the description. But download that program, and once you have it downloaded, just open up your MIDI with that program. Okay, so now what you want to do is look at the instrument list. The instrument list is on this YouTube video. I'll put this in my description too, though, so you have it. So these are the instrument values. I'm just going to throw that in a notepad. So now let's check out which instruments it uses right now, and we'll change that to these. So first instrument is the okay, so first instrument, let's just see how that sounds and what we would want that to sound like. So that's pretty much the percussion. So right now it's on 128, which isn't even a thing. So let's change it to, still drums really good. So I'm going to change this to 33. 33. Yeah. Okay, so second one, let's just see what it sounds like. Okay, piano or flute crashes it if you do 1. The organ sounds really good, so the organ is 2. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 2. So now that that's done, just export your MIDI. So we'll just go File, Export MIDI. I'm just going to name this as Majora Right. Alright, so when we import this in, we'll see what it sounds like with the Smash Bros. Instruments. Okay, it sounds decent. I'm nitpicking. I think I'm going to try changing instruments one more time. Okay, I like that. Okay, so the one last thing you gotta do is you need to download one last program. We don't need to do this, but there's a thing called a looping point in the song. Do you see how this song has an intro? Like that part right there. You don't really want that part to play every time when the song loops. You want it to play from that point. So you gotta find the loop point in the song. And to do that, you need to download a program called SynthFont. I'll leave a link in the description. So Majora 4, we're going to open with SynthFont. So I honestly don't understand this program that well. You could probably change the instruments on here too, but I just like using Anvil Studios because I've been using it for a while for MIDIs. So what you want to do is you want to go to this part here, and okay, this is the intro. This is where the song starts at 3.1, as you can see. Okay, so 3.1 is our loop point. Yeah, right here. So you're going to want to go to MIDI events and okay, right here, bar 3, when 384. So when bar 3 hits, it's 384. So as you see, it starts here at bar 3. Go to MIDI events. Bar 3 happens at 384. So I'm going to go here, type in 384 decimal, because that doesn't use hexadecimal, that uses decimal. So 384. Okay, loop. Replace MIDI with MIDI. Majora 4, open. Alright, write ROM. And then I'm going to do this one as Majora 5. Alright, and that's how you make your own level. I didn't think this video was going to be almost an hour long when I started it, but it just ended up that way. So the one thing, we used to host all the Super Smash Bros. Levels on the GoldenEye Vault, but recently the GoldenEye Vault is being taken down. Right now we're in this weird in-between spot where we're trying to find a new site to host all the levels. So for the time being, what I'm doing is every single stage I have on my YouTube channel, I have a link in the description to a download link from like Mediafire or somewhere. So if you create your own level, if you want to message me on Discord, I'll leave my Discord link in the description. If you want to send me a patch of your level, I can upload your level to my YouTube channel, give you credit, link to your YouTube channel, and just host the download links there for the time being. Once there's a new site that hosts all the levels, I'll post that in the description, but right now there's really nowhere to host the levels, so I'm just kind of hosting some of the levels on my YouTube channel right now. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated.